Mike's Daily Podcast.
Episode 2081, That's
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Going to be an interesting year. How many more coronaviruses will we have to go through by 2081? Hopefully none. That would be nice after this one. Find a vaccine. That's all we need. Just find it. Go to work. Do it. I find that drinking iced tea helps me fight the coronavirus. No, that doesn't really work.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
And I found that when you are podcasting and
Mike's
you put on a little
Daily
camera on yourself,
Podcast.
even though it's an audio podcast,
Yeah!
you suddenly wake up and you're like, whoa, I'm doing a podcast. Whoa, I'm seeing on this camera. Whoa. Truth is the only safe ground to stand upon. Elizabeth Cady Stanton. Thank you, Elizabeth Cady Stanton, and thank you, tea maker, for making this wonderful tea, celestial seasonings that has all these wonderful sayings on them. So today I realized, as I woke up very early and then went to a job that I partake in and then had to help out with something later on in the day, I realized that life is enjoyable when you have things to look forward to. And then when the things that you look forward to have passed, what do? Por ejemplo, we have here Sunday. The wonderful holiday known as 4th of July was yesterday. And now we're all walking around going, that was an interesting day. We had a lot of explosions. We had a lot of fires. We had a lot of things blow up. Why did we blow stuff up so much? What was the point? Was it because it was the 4th of July? Did we have anything else better to do? We could have been...
And here's today's podcast picture.
Yeah, I can't think of anything else. Well, we shouldn't have been setting like 110 fires on fire, which is apparently what we did in the Bay Area. Oops. Oh, I have a little Bay Area shirt of some sort of team that used to be in the Bay Area. You can see it at MikesDailyPodcast.com. But the podcast picture today is of a nice little house in Podcastro Valley that is on an odd road that is not not the well-beaten path. It's sort of off that path. The path that's seldom taken. And Basil and I we once went on this path together. We weren't together when I took this picture, but you can see it at MikesDailyPodcast.com. A very nice house in this little valley. Podcastro Valley is made up of many little valleys. It's a nice little spot. Check it out sometime when you're in the East Bay area and not running away from a horrendous fire. Just a suggestion. So, what happened was I, last night, was inundated with so many explosions. So much just boom, boom, boom. Let's go back to my root. No, just craziness. Why? And then somebody did a drive-by and threw a loud firecracker bomb type thing out the... Luckily, it didn't cause any damage, but... Gee. My. Wow. Is this really necessary? Here's something else that's not really necessary. So the news. The news that you watch and you go, oh, I'm going to watch the news and I'm going to get caught up on the news. It's not. It's not. I'm sorry. It hasn't been the news for a while. I question even the Edward R. Murrows. Oh, that was a true journalist. Oh, well, he had slaves, didn't he? No, wait. That's not revised. He did not. But that seems to be. Did he have slaves? When we think of historical figures, maybe he did. It's that we're reviewing everything. All the tape is being reviewed, everyone. Look out. And here's Edward R. Murrow, very much against that, as he should be. Edward R. Murrow. But he's the guy. He's like the cornerstone. That's what it all comes down to. That's integrity. That's news. That's what it should be. Okay. We have all of our news in this world today is there to make money. It existed before Edward R. Murrow, this sensationalist, this news based on making a buck. William Randolph Hearst, he knew all about that. Orson Welles knew all about that, so he did a movie about William Randolph Hearst called Citizen Kane. And about making money, getting people's eyeballs to read, just as the internet tries to get your eyeballs now by getting those stories that get you hooked, and you got that feed, and Google's got that feed for you. It's so funny. Once upon a time, Google had this, what was that feed called? Where you could, I think it was called Google Reader. And you could, oh, look, here's New York Times. Will send me stories. And it was just like the story stripped down maybe one picture. And it was nice because you didn't have to click onto any websites. Because you know what happens when you click on websites. You get stuck. It asks you, oh, you've got an ad blocker on. Turn that off. Or it asks you to do some things. You're like, maybe I shouldn't be clicking on that. Maybe I'm letting someone have access to something I shouldn't. Reader used to strip that all down. Now that's gone. It's been gone for quite a while. So we have this. The news is all based on, oh, is it interesting? Is it shock you? Is it, oh, I know that because I click on Bing and I get points when I do that. But here's the slug. I know it's there to, okay, so I just clicked on it. What popped up? A protest shuts down the highway. Okay, that seems to be the big, in Philadelphia, an interstate was shut down as protesters entered the roadway, blocked traffic. I don't know why Bing decided that would be interesting to me. Maybe because of that awful Seattle, someone got killed recently in part of a protest going onto a freeway. Then it knew that I like amusement parks, and I'm always watching Defunct Land. So it tells me about the France roller coaster death, that a woman dies after falling from the Formula One coaster in northern France. Okay. And then it decided to tell me that Bill Cosby is citing racism. I don't know if I haven't watched any Bill Cosby lately. I haven't even watched A Different World lately, but it's saying that he's fighting his assault conviction and in a nearly empty Philadelphia courtroom, because that's how courtrooms are today. Oh, wait, no, this was back in June 2015. It was in a nearly empty courtroom. This story begins because of it was a judge trying to defend Bill Cosby. See, I'm not going to click on that. See, I'm seeing it's trying to pull me in, and I don't know if I need to see that. As we go outside a cafe anyway, where we bring you Mike's Daily Podcast. Somewhere in Podcastro Valley Ton today, the last place on earth. Maybe, so I decided, I was talking to my friend Masa about all this, and he said, look, the news is blowing COVID-19 out of proportion, and yet, at the same time, we understand why. It's because we don't know. So what do? You go to sources that have the facts. Now, some people say the CDC does not have the facts. CDC.gov. And then there's something called CDC.news. That's definitely not the facts, because that's all a bunch of conspiracy theories about everybody that basically saying the coronavirus is fake and made up. Tell that to the people that are sick in the hospitals. But nationally, it says here, levels of influenza-like illness and COVID-19-like illness activity remain lower than peaks seen in March and April. So that's good news. So that's not all death and destruction and everything. But, and that's the but, they are increasing in most regions. The percentage of specimens testing positive for SARS-CoV-2, the virus that caused COVID-19, also increased from last week. Mortality attributed to COVID-19, however, decreased compared to last week and is currently at the epidemic threshold, but will likely increase as additional death certificates are processed. So if that breaks it down, that seems to be very, rudimentary to the facts. The overall percentage of respiratory specimens testing positive for SARS, I keep wanting to say SARS, like Russian oligarchs and leaders and kings and such. SARS-CoV-2 increased from week 25 to week 26. I guess that's the amount of weeks we've had to experience this. It increased from 8.1% to 8.7%. There you go, 0.6%. Driven by increases in 7 regions. National percentages of specimens testing positive for SARS-CoV-2 by type of laboratory. Public health laboratories, there was an increase of 5.6%. Clinical laboratories increase of 5.3%. And commercial laboratories increased from 8.7%. So what does that mean? So that's 8.7. It's not 80.7, but 8.7. Is that a lot? That's the question. I was talking to Masa about that. Masa was saying to me, and yes, that is an interesting name. I need to ask him about who he was named after. But he was saying to me, it could be that people that catch the coronavirus, there is a 99% chance of surviving the coronavirus. It's not like, the really bad one. Oh, wow. I'm just looking out over the hill there towards the Altamont. I see a little bit of a fire going on. That's a fact because I'm seeing it. I'm eyewitnessing it. My brain is processing it, telling it to you now here on the podcast, which hopefully that fire will be out by the time you hear this. But it could be that we get through that a lot faster, a lot better than some of the other diseases that are out there that when you catch it, you're dead, basically. At any rate, I'm just saying it's just nutty. The whole... you just have to be careful of things. You know that cdc.gov is the actual website that has been around for a long time. Center for Disease Control and Prevention. And they should have some basic facts. And truth is the only safe ground to stand upon. Hey, look who's outside a cafe anyway, somewhere in Podcastro Valley, 10 the last place on earth. Hello, Michael Mash, it's Madame Rootabega. What an interesting concept, the truth. Oh. Yes, the truth and fires and fireworks will cause fires. So stop doing them. You look around the East Bay. I'm not talking to you, Madame Rootabega. I know Michael Masu. She said, I know Michael Matthews, if you didn't know that. That's because that's my name. But yes, you look around the East Bay, we have brown hills. You light a firework, anything that explodes, it's going to set something on fire. That's a fact. That's the truth. That's the only safe ground to stand upon, is the ground that's not on fire. So maybe we need a little bit of more of the common sense, is all I'm saying. Do you believe that, Madame Rootabega? Yes. Do you think hopefully some fire trucks are heading over to that fire right now? Yes. Do you think I should stop the podcast right now? No. Okay, good. Hey, did you like the picture of the boats last show? There was a Bocce Boy was the name of one of the boats. You can see it at MikesDailyPodcast.com. And let me know what you think about any of this. You can call me at 336MM-DAILY. 3 plus 3 equals 6. MM is in Mike Matthews. Daily is in what this podcast has been for quite a while. Hey, look who else is out here.
Hello there, Mike. This is Valentino, the parking attendant.
And it's a Bison Bentley. Do you know that?
Mike, it looks like to me that this has been a very interesting year so far.
Yeah, interesting year. Do that. Yes, it has. We will all speak of the days that we lived through 2020. And We will. Stay positive, my friends. That's all I say to you. Next show, it'll be Chely Shoehart, Floyd the Floorman, and John Deere the Engineer. Thanks for listening. Take it away, Frank.
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at MikesDailyPodcast.com. Email Mike now at MikesDailyPodcast@gmail.com. See you tomorrow. Bye!